Story time. Thanks for watching. Please kindly subscribe to our channel, share and comment below. It means a lot to us. Part 3 of the Talking Drum of Odanani. But one day, far away, ships began to land. Strangers stepped ashore, carrying crosses, coins, and strange words. They did not understand drums. They feared them. And so, the time came. The day the drum was hidden. How the drum learned to speak. Long after Arodin passed into legend and Little Oak grew tall beneath the watchful eyes of the ancestors, the drum remained in Odanani, not as a decoration, but as a teacher. People came from far and wide, not to ask it questions, but to listen. You see, children, the talking drum, Ayanlomo, was not just carved from Iroko wood and wrapped in leopard skin. It had spirit inside it. And with every hand that touched it, with every story it carried, it learned how to speak. Not in English. Not in Yoruba. Not in any language written on paper. But in a language older than words. The language of wood and skin. Let me tell you how it worked. The drum could mimic the tone of any voice it had ever heard. High like a child. Deep like a chief. Soft like a mourning widow. Sharp like a laughing uncle. But more than sound, it could carry feeling. When someone played the drum while angry, it sounded like thunder trapped in a calabash. When someone played it while joyful, it sparkled like sunlight skipping across a river. And when someone played it with love, oh, child, the drum would weep. The elders thought that the drum had 3 voices. 1. The voice of praise, played during weddings, births, and joyful harvest. 2. The voice of warning, heard before war, storms, or danger. 3. The voice of remembrance, played slowly, like a heartbeat, to honor ancestors and lost loved ones. But Oak, now an elder himself, discovered something new. He found that when children asked questions, true, deep, curious questions, the drum responded in a 4th voice. 4. The voice of wonder. A voice that made the leaves rustle. A voice that made the sky lean in. A voice that felt like stories yet to be told. One day, a boy named Tomowa asked Oak, "How does the drum know what to say?" Oak smiled, tapping the side of the drum gently. "It doesn't speak from here," he said, pointing to the wood. He tapped the skin. "Or from here." Then he pointed to his chest. "It speaks from here. What you carry in your heart, that is what the drum gives back to you." Tomowa looked amazed. "So it's like a mirror?" "Yes," Oak said. "But not for your face. For your spirit." The children of Odanani began to learn. They didn't just play the drum. They studied it. They practiced how to say greetings with it. Emoki in O, I greet you. Kobo, welcome. Odebo, farewell. Ese, thank you. They learned how to send messages across the fields and forest. If there was a meeting at the chief's hut, the drum could call. If there was danger in the hills, the drum could warn. If a baby had been born, the drum could announce it before the rooster crowed twice. One drum could speak to another, from village to village, using beats like messengers on invisible roads. And just like that, the people became connected. Not by wires. Not by machines. By memory. By music. By drum. But with every message came responsibility. The elders warned, the drum does not lie. If you try to use it for trickery, it will go silent in your hands. And it was true. One greedy trader once tried to use the drum to call customers to his store by pretending there was a royal announcement. When he beat it, the drum made no sound. Not even a hum. Embarrassed, he tried again. But the more he lied, the heavier the drum felt. He dropped it and ran. The next day, he came back and apologized. He poured water on the drum. He sang a song of truth. He made a promise to speak honestly from then on. Only then did the drum speak again. O gathered the children and told them, you can learn the patterns. You can master the rhythms. But until your heart is clean, the drum will not speak through you. A talking drum is not just a tool. It is a living truth. And so the children of Odanani grew strong, not just in sound, but in character. They learned to speak with their hands, to listen with their eyes, to feel with their souls. As the years passed, the talking drum became more than just a way to share greetings and messages. It became a tool of guidance, a partner to the elders, a helper to the chiefs, and a mirror to those who made decisions for the people. Because, you see, in the Yoruba lands, leadership was not about loud voices or big chairs. It was about listening. And no one listened better than the drum. In Odanani, when two neighbors had a disagreement about land, about goats, about whose child had broken the clay pot, they didn't start with shouting. They went to the drum circle. There, beneath the shade of the wisdom tree, sat the council of elders. And in the center of that circle sat Ayanlomo, still strong, still glowing, still sacred. The people would speak. Each person would share their side of the story. But before the elders gave a judgment, the drum would speak. Oak would play it softly. Bo, to, bie. Not to punish. Not to decide. But to help everyone remember. The drum had a way of making even the angriest heart feel softer. Of making people remember the whole story, not just the part that made them right. Sometimes, the drum reminded a man that the land he fought over once belonged to his great-grandfather, who gave it freely to a friend. Sometimes, it reminded a woman that the child who broke her pot was the same child her mother had once nursed during a fever. And suddenly, people remembered to be kind. To be honest. To be fair. To be human. The chiefs learned from the drum, too. Before passing any new law, the chief would sit with the drum. He would ask, will this law protect the people? Will it honor our ancestors? Will it help the children yet to be born? And the drum, through its rhythm, would answer. Sometimes it beat steady, a quiet yes. Sometimes it stayed silent, a warning. Sometimes it gave a troubled beat, not quite yes, not quite no, a message that more listening was needed. Even visitors from far kingdoms marveled at it. One day, a traveling prince from a distant land asked, "How can a drum decide right from wrong?" Oak replied, "It does not decide. It reminds us of who we are, and when we remember that, we often find the answer ourselves." The prince nodded slowly. He had never thought of justice that way. The children of Odanani watched and learned. They saw that true power was not in who could shout the loudest, but in who could listen the best. And now, dear one, let me ask you. Have you ever been in a disagreement and forgotten the other person's side of the story? Have you ever wished you could pause and listen before reacting? If you had a talking drum beside you, what might it remind you of? What would it say about fairness, kindness, and truth? Could you become the kind of leader, in your home, your school, or your heart, who listens before speaking? Because in the end, the drum is not only in Odanani. The drum is not only in wood and skin. The drum is in you, in your choices, your memory, your rhythm. And when you listen, it speaks. In Odanani, something wonderful began to happen. The more the drum was used for guidance and truth, the more children started to draw closer to it. Not just to dance or clap. Not even just to watch. They came to listen. They sat at the edge of the drum circle, legs folded, eyes wide, hearts open. They listened when the elders judged fairly. They listened when the drum played slowly, as if telling a long, deep story. They listened when the wind paused, as if even the trees were holding their breath. And then, they started to hear things adults couldn't hear. Not loud sounds, but soft ones. Like the feeling in the air when someone is about to tell the truth. Like the hush that falls when an ancestor walks through a dream. Like the rhythm of a story that's just beginning. One day, a girl named Iriti, small, curious, and always barefoot, asked Oak, "Why does the drum speak to me even when no one is playing it?" Oak leaned forward. Because it knows who listens. Iriti touched the drum gently. "It told me my grandmother's favorite song, and I've never even heard it before." Oak nodded slowly. "Then your heart is ready." So, a new tradition was born in Odanani. The listeners of the drum. Children who sat with the drum daily. Not to perform, not to impress. Just to be still. To feel. To remember. They learned to greet the drum in the morning with water. To thank it in the evening with a song. To clean it gently, whispering, "I see you. I honor you." And sometimes, just sometimes, the drum played back the quiet rhythm only they could hear. Butter. Bo. Butterta. Some children said it felt like a hug from someone who had passed away. Some said it gave them dreams with messages in them. One boy said the drum made his shadow dance before his feet did. And the elders, they watched in awe. For the children were not just learning the drum's language. They were learning to live by it. One child gave her lunch to a hungry stranger because the drum reminded her of a story about sharing. Another refused to cheat during a village game because she remembered the drum's rhythm of honesty. Another forgave her brother, not because she had to, but because the drum whispered, "Forgiveness is also strength." And that, dear one, is how the children of Odanani became the true protectors of memory. Not with shields, not with laws, but with rhythm in their hearts. And now let me ask you, can you sit in silence and listen like they did? What stories do you think your heart still remembers? If your feet had their own rhythm, what would they be trying to say? Can you be a listener of the drum in your own life, at home, at school, in your thoughts? Because you don't have to be in Odanani to hear the drum. You just have to be still enough to listen. The drum had always belonged to the people of Odanani. But drums, like stories, are not meant to stay in one place forever. And so, little by little, the rhythm of Ayanlomo began to travel. Not by feet alone, but by spirit. The children who had learned to listen carried its lessons in their hands. The elders who had judged with its wisdom spoke its memory in their voices. And the very air that passed through the forest carried a soft beat that stirred sleeping stories in other lands. Butterbie. In a village called Apunren, a woman woke up from a dream she didn't understand. I saw a boy holding a drum, she whispered, and when he played, the trees bent low to listen. In a kingdom near the mountains, a hunter from Odanani played a simple rhythm on his travel drum. An old chief rose to his feet and wept. This sound, he said, it knows my father's name. Soon, more and more people began to ask, where did this sound come from? And the answer was always the same. From a village where people don't just beat the drum, they listen to it. And so, the drum crossed the river. Not in a canoe, but through the hands and hearts of those who remembered. Some villages welcomed it. They held gatherings to hear its rhythms. They planted Iroko seeds in honor of Arodin. They asked the elders of Odanani to teach them the sacred ways. But others were not so sure. In one proud town, the chief frowned. What can a boy's drum teach me? He asked. His advisor said, it is no ordinary drum. It speaks with the voice of ancestors. The chief scoffed. Then let it speak of gold. Let it bring me wealth. Then I'll listen. But when the rhythm came to that village, the people did not hear it. Not because it wasn't played, but because their hearts were too loud with pride to listen. And slowly, a quiet jealousy began to grow. One evening, a man named Lero, who once trained in Odanani but left with bitterness in his heart, stood before a gathering in his new home. He raised his hand and said, "These drums are dangerous. They make children question. They make people remember what is no longer useful." Someone asked, "But don't they bring peace?" Lero shrugged. "Peace is fine. But what good is peace if it slows progress?" That night, the fire crackled louder than usual. And the drum was silent. Back in Odanani, Oak felt something shift. The rhythm he had known for decades, strong and steady, trembled slightly. He placed his hand on Ayanlomo. "Who is listening now?" he whispered. "And who has stopped?" The next morning, he gathered the children and told them, "Not everyone will understand the drum. Not everyone will welcome the truth it brings. Some will fear it. Some will twist it. Some will try to stop it. But we must keep playing. Iriti raised her hand. Even if they don't listen. Yes, Oak said gently. Because one day, they will need to. And so, the rhythm continued. Like a wind passing through branches. Like a memory looking for a home. Like a voice too strong to be forgotten. And now, little one, let me ask. Have you ever shared something special and had someone laugh at it? Have you ever felt sad when people didn't understand your heart? Did it make you stop, or did it make you stronger? Because when your truth is gentle and steady like a drumbeat, it may not be heard right away. But one day, it will echo in places you never imagined. Thanks for listening. To continue, you can get our book on Amazon and get more understanding about the talking drum of Odanani. Please don't forget to subscribe, drop your comments below. We love you all. Bye for now.